Zach, hello.
Okay. So I actually tweeted you about this and then emailed it to you, and I wasn't actually planning about or planning to talk about it, on the show. But when this all happened, I was actually thinking back to some things I'd listened to you say on the show. So I think it's good to kind of bring it all together to the forefront. So I'm at Maryland Live in a 2-2 5-card PLO game.
Right. So Maryland Live does all and it's 5-card high, right?
So I have King, Queen, Jack 10, 9, double suited.
Okay.
I'm in the small blind.
Mm-hmm.
There's a $5 straddle on the button every hand.
Okay.
So I just flat the straddle, and the guy to my immediate left in the big blind makes it 20.
Okay.
For the first time all night, it folds all the way around to the straddle, who calls the 20, and then I call the 20.
Okay.
So the flop comes out ace 7 8, 7 8 of hearts.
Okay. So ace 7 8, 7 8 of hearts. Okay. Yep.
And I do have Jack 10 of hearts.
Okay.
So anyway, I check, and the big blind pots it for I guess it was 60.
Okay.
The button, the straddler folds, and I flat.
Okay.
So then on the turn, the offsuit 10. So I turn the nuts with Jack 9.
Again, you've got King, Queen, Jack 10, 9. This hand is not, the actual crux of the hand is important, but the story. So ace 7 8, 2 hearts, 5-card PLO, you flop, a non-nut flush draw, and a big straight draw. Now you turn the nuts with Jack 9, ace 10, 7 8, 10. So you come out and lead, right?
Yeah, I pot it.
Okay, so hero pots. Yep.
I pot it, and he immediately called.
Okay.
Now, just to talk a little bit about what comes of the ethical issue, I'm in what would normally be the 8th seat, but now it's the 6th seat because we're playing 7-handed. So I'm at like a really weird corner of the table, and they have the plexiglass not just on the sides, but in front, snaked around too, everywhere except in front of the dealer. And it's also kind of fogged up from people talking and taking the mask on and off, and it's not exactly that clean as far as being able to see through it. So when the river comes, I think that it's a 6.
Okay.
I think that it's an offsuit 6.
Right.
And I immediately pot it.
Okay. So you think you still have the nuts, and there's a one-liner out there to a 9, right? You've got the nuts straight.
Correct.
Correct.
And he goes into the tank. The guy and I had a few conversations before. Very nice guy, older guy, probably late 50s, early 60s. And he looks at me and he's like, "You got it again?" I'm running pretty well. And I said, "Yeah, I turned the nuts." I got shrugged, and he takes 7-7 and flashes it to the whole table and folds.
So straddle folds a set, but you still have the best hand, or you think you do.
He's in the big blind. Yeah, he's the big blind.
The big blind.
The big blind has 7s, and he folds the boat. What is a boat? What I thought was just.
So what is the actual river?
It is an 8.
So the river's an 8. You don't see the board pair. Right. You don't see the board pair. And the reason why you're calling in is because you actually feel bad because what you said to the guy wasn't meant to be speech player, wasn't meant to be deceptive. You just thought that you actually thought that you were saving him money, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, and he was a very nice guy or whatever, but I tabled my hand to show that I had the nuts. And I was like...
Right. You tabled it afterwards.
I wasn't showing it to...
Right.
Correct. I tabled it for everybody, and a guy in the 4 seat was like, "What?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Dude, board pair." And the dealer then showed me the 8. And the guy who folded was very, very upset. That's BS, man, etc.
Oh, wow. That's it.
I just felt so bad about it.
That's interesting. So this is why I wanted to take this call because, again, there's different levels of different things too. I mean, I think that most people in the chat are going to be like, "So what?" I mean, you didn't, the guy's got to, he's got to still make the right decision, right? And this one's a little, but what I want to bring into this is that I have not done this myself, but I've seen this happen where, and it's usually a pro against a recreational player, a situation will go down where a pro will make a huge bet at the end and the recreational player will call, and for whatever reason, the cards are tabled and the recreational player has nothing. And the reason why they have nothing is because they actually misread their hand. Like they thought that it was a 6. They thought they had trips, but they didn't have it. Like the recreational player calling wouldn't have called with nothing. Like usually like an older guy, you know what I'm saying? And in those situations, I have seen the professional players give the bet back on the river. I want to say that this happened maybe with Ryan Feldman or something like this. And if there was ever a situation that came up where I thought that happened and I was the person benefiting it from the professional side, I would probably give the guy's money back if he misread his hand. It's never happened. I don't think anything bad of someone that wouldn't do that. I'm bringing this up because it's somewhat similar to what you're talking about here. But what you're talking about here is a little bit different in the sense that, you know, obviously like in the sense that the guy didn't misread his hand, you misread your hand.
Right.
You misread your hand, but not intentionally. So
when the board pairs, I'm just going to shut down and check there. I'm never going to try to bluff this guy off the hand because that board pairing is so terrible for me. And so when I instantly potted it, you know, and he's tanking and tanking and tanking, I really was trying to do the right thing. And when it happened, I mean, like I said over the email, you know, my face went completely white. I've played thousands of hours of poker, and this probably bothered me more than anything. And that's why I kind of felt like, hey, I should just give this guy the money. But everyone else at the table was like, dude, don't give him the money. That's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know. Listen. I don't know what I would necessarily do. Actually, you know what? Here's the thing. I know it's a unique situation. What would probably end up happening with me is that I would misread the board, and then I would realize that, oh, fuck, the board paired, right? And then I would just say nothing. Or if I were you and I had said, oh, I've got the nuts here, right? And then I realized the board paired and the guy folded, I would just be like, mark the cards. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that because I didn't want to show the guy up. But I understand what you're saying. But
of course.
I mean, listen, man, it's up to your comfort level. I wouldn't get too upset about it. I don't think that you did it. You don't. It's whatever your comfort level is. I mean, a lot of these. It's kind of the similar thing to like your last call. I mean, I don't think that if you want to give the guy's bet back because the guy's a nice guy, give him his bet back. I'm not going to tell you that like you should do that. You know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't feel too. I wouldn't feel too upset about it though.
Yeah, it's just that I tabled my hand because I wanted to show the nuts. That's how everyone could tell I had not misread it. I mean, that I had misread it the entire time, including on the river, including after he folded, because I chose to show it, not as a bluff, but to show, hey, listen, man, I wasn't BSing you. I do have the nuts. And so just to kind of bring it full circle, I actually saw the guy there today, both while we were on a list for a game. And he just kind of said to me, hey, man, you know, what happened the other day was, you know, effed up. And I said, look, man, I've taken a lot of time to think about it, and I've been in similar kind of situations in a 5-10 game with people here, and everyone here knows I wasn't trying to screw you, and I'm just not going to give you the money back. So that's what I came to, and I really just kind of wanted to get your opinion.
But I mean, but what you did, but even if you had done so let's say that what you did was intentional. There's nothing wrong with lying about your hand. That's why I think it's a little bit different, right? Like, I mean, how is that? Like, maybe like if you did it to a friend and you guys were like, I did it to my buddy and like, we just, you know, I was being nice to him. I'm like, I got the nuts. And then I showed him that I actually lied to him and bluffed. Maybe I would feel bad about that, but this guy's not your buddy, right?
No,
I mean, that's the difference. I would just, I mean, that's why it's kind of weird, right? Like, I mean, you have the right to lie about your hand and then show the guy up if you want to.
I just didn't know what am I even supposed to give him because he folded. I give him half the pot.
I mean, I think you're thinking about way too much. Way too much. I wouldn't even go into this level of it.
It wasn't a crazy big pot. It wasn't crazy big. It would have been like, you know, a little over 1K had he called. So
1K. But again, for the people, like I said, I mean, I think it's more interesting what I was talking about where you make a bet and then this guy, maybe he's got problems with his vision. Obviously misreads his hand because he calls with nothing. Would you give somebody the money back? I'm not going to say for the people in the chat or people who are watching and they say, well, I wouldn't give the money back. I'm not going to say that that's those people are bad in any way. They have a right to do that. I mean, the guy's got to read his hand, right? I'm saying that I probably would, especially if the guy was a regular and it was obvious that he misread his hand, right? Because it's not, I mean, I'm not gaining, I mean, he's gaining by like him calling, but I'm still going to win the pot. But in your situation, I just think it's a little bit different though, right? Like, I mean, you can do that anyway.
Yeah, I misread it.
Right.
I misread it, you know? Like,
so
I don't know why it stressed me out so much, but it's just that I don't like all the scummy kind of stuff. And like I said, I play in the 5-10 there, once a week when it runs.
I don't think it's scummy. I don't think it's scummy if somebody misread their hand and I took the bet anyways because he misread his hand. I don't think that's. I would probably not do that, especially if it was like a recreational player. But if somebody chose to say no, he's got to put the money in. That's not scummy. What you did wasn't scummy. I think you're letting it frazzle you way too much. As opposed to what happened. But I appreciate the call. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call-in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.